So we can like start the session. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So welcome to MuleSoft training day 10. Okay. So I will just start with safe harbor statement as always. Both speaker and host are organizing this meetup in the individual capacity. We are not representing any organization here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose. We are not holding any responsibility with the same solution will work for your business requirement. You have to do your own evaluation. The presentation is not meant for any promotional activity. It is just for the learning purpose. So housekeeping, we will going to upload the recording within the 24 hours within the on the event page, right? You can submit the question at any time. You can just try to make the session more interactive. I will suggest to provide the feedback and also like rate the meetup. So you will receive the email at the end of the meetup. So just click on that link and just provide the feedback. I will just skip all this slide. Okay. So I'll simply go D8, D9, I think what we have covered. So yesterday we have covered object store V1 versus object store V2. Then we cover object store connector, watermarking using object store until successful component. And also we have covered something called failure code validator, like success code validator, those kind of thing. Today we're going to talk about Anypoint MQ. So there's another capability or another component provided by MuleSoft, that is Anypoint MQ. It is nothing. It's a messaging queue, right? So Anypoint. So we will going to discuss what is Anypoint MQ. So what are the different operations that we can perform with the Anypoint MQ, like publish, subscribe, Ack, Nack, then Anypoint MQ Exchange. We will talk about the Anypoint MQ user property. We will talk about the Anypoint MQ circuit breaker pattern. Then we also have a something called intra or inter queue, the in-memory queues, that is known as the VM queues. So we're going to talk about the VM queues also. Okay. So let's start with the Anypoint MQ. So first question I will ask, like anybody have worked on Anypoint MQ or anybody heard about the term called Anypoint MQ? Anyone? Why we use the Anypoint MQ? Why we use the queues?
Yeah, Jackie, to achieve the mostly in which way are we used to perform this reliable or guaranteed delivery patterns or make our integration as a near real times. So mostly in that cases we have used.
Yeah, that is correct. And like whenever we want to implement event-driven architectures, right? So
Yes.
whenever, so say whenever you have IoT device that generating the events, right? And if you want to read those events, so IoT device or any device
Mm.
can push the events to the queue, and any MuleSoft application or any third-party application can read the event from that queue and then do the further processing, right? That is just one of the example. There might be many other examples. So
Yeah.
when we will going to have an overview of Anypoint MQ, we will see where we can use the Anypoint MQ basically, right? So yeah, thanks Rajiv for the answer. Yeah. So let me start. So the Anypoint MQ is the cloud-based service. It's a completely cloud-based message broker. So you don't have to set up any infrastructure. You don't have to worry about underlying infrastructure. It's a managed service which is provided by MuleSoft, right? So I think in the backend it is using the AWS SQS, like a simple queuing service. So it's nothing. It's a Anypoint MQ. It's a completely cloud-based messaging service which you can use for the asynchronous messaging between the application services and system, and even you can use for the near real time like kind of synchronous basically, right? It enable the loose coupling basically, so you don't have to worry about like once you publish the message to the queue, right? You don't have to like you don't have to worry about the subscriber basically. So anybody can publish the message to the queue and anybody can subscribe the message from the queue, right? So it's loosely coupled. Like in future if you want to change the subscriber, if you want to add more subscriber, you can easily do that. If in future if somebody want to publish the message, like if you want to have a multiple publisher, the publisher simply can publish the messages, like so you don't have to do any changes in your queue mechanism or any, like you don't have to add any additional queues or anything, right? So you want as many as publisher, you can add it. You want as many as consumer, you can add it basically. It will also answer the guaranteed delivery, reliable message delivery. We'll talk about something called dead letter queue. So in case some message failed and we don't want to lose the message basically, right? Like, so where we can, how we can put the message into dead letter queue for later processing, or just to identify what kind of message has been failed or something like that, right? So that is how we're going to talk about DLQs. So I already talked about this is managed service, and we can have it support point to point queues, and it also supports publish subscribe. And we have something. There's a concept called exchange. So we have a exchange. So see, in queue we can have a single queue. We can have a multiple publisher and just send the message to the queue, and there will be one subscriber. It will read the message from the queue basically. There's a concept called exchange. So if you want to push a one message to the multiple queues, right? So for example, you have an e-commerce application, right? You are doing some kind of order, right? In on e-commerce application, you went to the Amazon or somewhere, right? And you place some kind of order. So once you place the order, it does lot of steps, right? It has to do the payment. It has to check the inventory, right? Then it has to check the, like, once it also has to, once you have done this, right? So then it has to, like, send the shipping information, right, to the courier or like anybody, and it has to reduce the inventory, right? Then it also has to generate the email, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can publish one message to the exchange, and you can tie a three or four queues with those things, right? So now you can publish the same message to all four queues, and like there will be some, like, a payment related service can read the order from the like payment queue. Then we can have a email queue, like from like email service can read the message from email queue. Then we have a inventory reduction queue, right? So inventory reduction queue service, basically it can read the message from inventory queue, like that, so so basically you can publish the message to exchange, and exchange will multicast that message to the multiple queues, which is tie up with your exchange, or which is associated with your exchange. Now there's a other thing. You can have some kind of content based routing on the exchange. So like depending on the content, you can decide what are the message. If you have a four or five message tie up with exchange, but you want to make sure, like, depending on the content, right, or depending on some kind of rule, it publish the message to the one or two queues, or to one queues, right? If my country is US, so publish the message to the US queue. If my country is UK, publish the message to the UKQ, like that, so you can all it is also it is also provide where you can write the intelligent routing rules. We will going to talk on that part also. Okay, so Anypoint MQ feature. So it provide a fully hosted and managed queue message exchange in the cloud. As I mentioned, it's a completely managed service. You don't have to worry about the scalability, high availability, reliability. All those things are taken care by MuleSoft, right? It support large payload, like large payload up to 10 MB, not more than 10 MB. So it support encryption. So whenever you push the message into the queue, you can encrypt and you can just push it. So you don't have to use any algorithm for doing encryption and decryption. So you have an option whenever you are creating the queue. At that time, you can select whether I want to encrypt the message or not, right? Then queuing, publish and subscribe. I talk about that, So we have like it can have a capability of publish and subscribe. Enable you to easily to connect non-MuleSoft application by using REST API. So Anypoint MQ service provide the REST API. So like Anypoint MQ can be used by the non-MuleSoft application also, right? So any external application want to publish the message to the queue, he can use like REST API to publish the message to the queue, or any external application want to read the message from the queue, you can just use the REST API to read. But for MuleSoft, you have an Anypoint connector. You can use that Anypoint connector to publish to subscribe the message, right? So provide Anypoint Studio access, which I already talked about. Okay. So unlimited message in the queue. There's a no limit how many messages you can publish to the queue. Make sure like you have, like, I will your subscription have that much of message, like available. The size of it message in the queue is limited to 10 MB. If you are trying to publish more than 10 MB, it will not work. Messages are read through the long pooling. So server hold the request open until new data is available, and then an Anypoint MQ deliver a batch of message. So you can define, like, if you want to add delay when you publish the message to the queue, right? And you want to add some kind of delay, right? So once you publish the message to the queue, it can be read after 10 minutes basically, right? So such kind of things is available, right? You can just set up delay, right? Delay time or something like that. Billing and charging. Billing is based on the number of message delivered to subscriber from queues rather than the number of queues or message exchange you created basically, right? So it's completely like consumption based basically. Okay, so as I mentioned, like this is how the queue looks like. The publisher like publish the message to queue, and subscriber will read it. Then we have something called exchange. So you can just publish the message to the exchange, and exchange will be associated with the multiple queues, right? It will multicast the message to all the queues, and there will be consumer associated with that queues. They can read the messages from there basically. As simple as that. Okay. We'll talk about circuit breaker pattern. Okay, so let me walk you through Anypoint platform, Anypoint MQ basically. Yeah. So generally, if you see, you can find this Anypoint MQ here in the runtime. You can just click on Anypoint MQ. Here you have something called like if you want to add, it's also support the FIFO queues, first in, first out. So if you want to make sure your message get processed in the order, right? So you have an option to create a FIFO queues also. So first in, first out, right? So here we have a queue. You can create a queue. You have an exchange. You have a FIFO queue, right? So I will simply create one queue, right? I can just say account mule training hyphen queue. Okay, here you can just say how much day, like if message is like it's not read or some error has been occur, so it will keep the message in the queue for the 7 days, right? Default acknowledgement time, if we are not receiving the acknowledgement or Ack or Nack within 2 minutes, right? It will move the message, it will keep the message in the in-flight and it will time out basically, right? You can assign the default delivery delay if you want, like once the message, oh, shit, what happened? Okay. Again, let me create account mule training. I will just okay. So here assign default delay. So once the message is published to queue, right, it will immediately read by the consumer. But if you want to add the delay, you can simply just say I want to read this message after 1 minute once it published, right? But I will not keep that. If you want to choose a encryption, by default it's on. You can just disable it if you need. Right now I don't know why it's not allowing me, right? But you can do that. Assign dead letter queue, we will talk about that. If you want to enable the cross region failover, you can do that. But I will keep everything as simple for now. Just say create queue. So I have already created a mule training queue basically, right? I just created that basically, right? Now the second thing, we have to create a client app. So for creating the client, apart from that, when you are creating the queue, right, here you can select the region. So you can just create the queue in almost all the region where MuleSoft is available. So almost all the 12 regions. Okay. Okay. So like that is available. Apart from that, you just simply go and create a client app. So I will just say create, and I will just say Mule training client apps. So it will give me a client ID and a client secret. Okay. I'll just keep as it is. I will not do anything. I will move into my Anypoint Studio. I will create some demo file, new mule project, right? I will simply say like, so what I can say, uh, Anypoint MQ API mule training. Yes, this is a simple application I've created. Let me search if I have a Anypoint MQ here. I don't have it, right? So what you can just say, try looking, or I can simply say MQ. It's not there. Try looking for it in Exchange. So I will just add this. I will just say finish. Okay. So now you can see there's some connections. Sorry, some operation, Ack, consume, Nack, publish, and subscriber. right? So subscribe. So Ack is nothing like whenever you want to send the acknowledgement back, right, to the queue. So that we use the Ack. Consume whenever you want to consume the message in the middle of the flow, right? You use the consume. Nack whenever you want to send a negative acknowledgement back, right? You use the negative acknowledgement. Whenever you want to publish the message to the queue, you use the publish. Whenever you want to listen to the queue, as soon as some message published to the queue, right, and you want to read it, so you can use the subscriber. For now, I will use publish. The first step we will do publish, right? I'll just publish and I'll do the connector configuration here. I click on plus and here I need the URL. So for getting the URL, you go to destination, just say copy. Here it will say connector version 4.x or 3.x. For me, it's 4.x. I will just select 4.x and it's copied the URL. I will just paste it here. Okay. So this is my URL. Now I want to get a client ID in the client secret. So we already create a client app. We go to client app. We just click here. We copy this client ID. Okay. I copy this client secret to the test connection. Okay, it is successful. Just say okay. Right now, here you need to select a destination. So, destination it can be exchange or it can be queue. For now, I just use the queue. Okay, I will just copy this. Okay, I haven't give the right. Okay, copy this mule training queue. This is my queue name. Okay, I'll go here, paste it. Okay, so I will just say publish account data to empty. Okay. Here we have a user properties. I'm going to talk about that user properties. For now, you just we keeping everything simple. So my MI type it will be application JSON. I will always receive the application.json format. Okay, if you want encoding, you can just add the encoding. But for now, I don't need it. Right now, I will just put HTTP listener here. Right, and as I mentioned, I always use this as a post method. I go to general. I do some kind of connector configuration here. I'll keep everything default. Slash API slash account. Okay. So first thing, I will just save this. Okay. Let me do one thing. I will start the application. I will just say yes. Let me find out if I have any account message available. I can use the same. Yeah, I have it. This one. I can just pick this. Here I can use the post method. And just say HTTP localhost 8081 slash API slash accounts. Okay, just go to body raw and I will just keep it JSON. I will remove this. I don't want. I keep it simple. I don't want this many messages for now. I just keep this as a simple thing. Okay. So let me see if my application is successfully deployed. Okay, it is deployed. And okay, let me put one transform message also. Okay, I can just say rename. JSON response. Here I can just say status and I can just say account. Okay. Plus plus. Let me do one thing. Let me save. I will set to variable and I will read this account, whatever coming, right? So I want to display the good message. So I want account name, right? So I will just say account name has been published successfully to the Anypoint MQ. So that is the message I need to display. So first I can just say set account name. So I can read as a payload dot name. can keep default as this. Okay, account. Then I can just say vars dot account name plus plus. Okay, this is how you can just add the strings. Publish. So let me save it. It will deploy. Any question till now? Anybody have any question?
Yeah, but I have answered it. But Siddharth is asking like in which subscription we can get Anypoint MQ.
No, like you have, it's a payable. Okay, it's not free version. Okay,
Like,
if you have some partner account available within your organization, you can use that. Otherwise, it's like you don't get it in the free version, right? Yeah.
but in Titanium or the advanced package,
So
it will come by default, right?
it's like it will come with some limitations basically, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I think it's a separate
It's
thing
a
that
licensed product, yes.
yeah, it's a, as I mentioned, it's a completely separate thing. Let me okay, let's see if it's deployed. Okay, cool. I will just clear the console. If you want to clear the console, you can just click here and let's see what happens. I'll just send. I got account Acme Corporation to publish successfully. Let me go and check my queue. I'll go to Anypoint MQ. I click it here. Okay, let me. So here we have a one message in queue, right? We have a one message in the queue. Okay, so if you want to see it here also, you can go to message browser. You can just say retry 50 messages from last up to last 20 seconds. Just say get messages. So we have this message and you can just open this, right? You can see the payload, and also you can see all the like out of box property which has been published. Now I want to publish my correlation ID, right? So what I can do, so here you go to publish MQ, right? You go to user property, correct? And like just click on FX. I generally use the FX word and just say X correlation ID. And if you want to read the correlation ID for current flow, it's just correlation ID, right? As simple as that. So this is the correlation ID for this particular flow, right? So you can just publish this. This is the user property will get published. Let me save this. This user property is very intelligent, very useful, right? When we will going to use the intelligent routing, where this user property is very important. I will going to show that. Like just we are going slowly bit. Okay, cool. I will just put Acme 98 or something like this, and something like this. Just change 65. Yeah, just send it. Okay, this has been published successfully. Let me go back and message browser. Okay, I have done one mistake. I don't have to use the design. I use design. That's fine. You can just change the environment to dev or something like that. But it's okay. It's working. That's fine. Okay, doesn't matter. You can use this mule training. You can see two messages. Now go there. If you want to see the user properties, you will see the correlation ID. Right. Okay, I think this is the old one. Here you can see the X correlation ID is the publish for one of the messages. Right. So that's how you can populate user properties. You want extra, right? Now I will create another flow which can consume the message. So I will use the subscriber. Okay. I will say subscribe accounts. Okay. Then here you have to give the queue name. So what is my queue name? The same queue which where you have published the message. You can use the prefetch. What prefetch will do, if I define the max local message is 30, it will bring a 30 messages at a time to the memory, right? To the in memory of your server, and it will start processing the messages from there. In case of polling, right? If you are saying poll and face size 10, it will read the 10 messages from the queue, and it will process the 10 messages at a time, basically, right? So I will go with the polling for now. Then also for polling, you can define the frequency. It's once 1000 milliseconds. So at what frequency we need to poll? I will just say 10,000. So 10 seconds. We have a acknowledgement mode auto, immediate and manual. We're going to talk about it, which is very, very important. So in case of auto, what will happen? Right? So like in case of auto, what will going to happen? So basically, whenever you subscribe the message from the queue, right? So it is expecting the acknowledgement back or NAC back, right? So in case of auto, like if something got failed, right, your message will all stay in the in-flight only. Like it will not come out of the in-flight basically till the time to leave. It reached to the time to leave to expire, right? So that is one of the parameter we have seen. So it will remain in the in-flight if we are sending the NAC. If we are sending the Ack back, right? So in case of auto, we don't have to manually send the Ack and Nack. The process will automatically send Ack and Nack back. In case the flow is completely successful, it will send the Ack back to the queue. So the message will remove from the queue basically. In case of it sending the message to, in case if it's sending Nack, right? The message will stay in flight basically till the time to leave doesn't come, or you haven't defined the dead letter queue. Okay, so this is the concept. Then we have something called immediate. So in case of immediate, it doesn't matter, like once the message is read from the queue, it will remove the message from the queue. It doesn't matter whether the message has been failed in your flow or it has been successfully processed in your flow. It doesn't matter. In case of manual, you can send the Ack and Nack yourself basically. You can define the Ack and Nack, right? We're going to talk about that. For now, I just keep auto. I will just just say MuleSoft MQ API subscribe MQ hyphen Mule flow. I will copy this. I can just say publish here. Okay. Now I will just say transform message. I just drag and drop, and I can just say JSON, and okay, I can simply say payload. Okay, in case if you want to read the user property which we have set up, set variable, I can just say I want to read correlation ID. So you can use attributes dot properties dot name of correlation ID X correlation ID. That is how you can read the properties. Okay, the properties. And I can simply say read JSON response, and I will just log this. Reload. I'll also log a correlation ID. So I can just read vars dot correlation ID. Let me save this, and I'll just stop and start again. Okay, so we don't get much errors. So let's wait, it is deploying. So it read the payload, and even you can see the correlation ID. It's coming as a null. Okay, because it for the first message, right? So for second message it will not, it should not come as a null. Yeah, because for one message it has been published, right? So you can see the message has been read from the queue. Let me check if there any message in the queue now. Still in the queue. Let me check why. Let me refresh this. No, there is a no message in the queue now. Okay. So here you can see like how many message has been processed. All this graph has been generated. Let me let me push one of the message. Let's do it. See, now it start reading like 9899 quickly, right? As soon as we published it, and also we can see the correlation IDs also. We are able to do it. Any question on this? How we can do the publish and subscribe before I move into some important concept of this Anypoint MQ.
Nothing in chat.
Okay, cool. Okay, so for now, I want to do one thing, like so I will use the Salesforce connector. As soon as I publish the this particular message, right, it should create an account in the Salesforce. So I will use a Salesforce connector here. I will use insert. Not I sorry, it's create in Salesforce. Right. I will do the connector configuration. Let me copy my connector configuration. Yesterday we have created, right? So I will copy from there. I think not system API. Where it is, we have experience on, yeah, it's in objects too. So guys, I all shit, yeah. Let me unshare my screen, like let me get the password. Give me 2 minutes, okay?
Sure. Meanwhile, anyone have any question you can ask, or till Jack is getting the password.
Hey Abhishek Chandra here. Just one thing on more practical level. One of the challenges which, depending on if we do automatic Ack and Nack, and if for some reason the consumer is down,
Mhm.
then that create a backup in the queue.
Yeah.
Is
So
that something?
that Jackie will show, and as I mentioned you, so we have this option of DLQ and circuit breaker. So using
Okay. Okay.
that, we can handle any kind of error or fault when we are even doing automatic acknowledgement to the queues. If we are doing manual, then we can create a error queue and we can configure it at our level how we need to handle it.
Okay. Okay. And especially if you have something like a data migration queue or something like that, I think that will be more runnable
Yeah,
than better stuff, right?
yeah. So Jackie will show that.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Yeah, just give me. I'm just configuring the password. Okay.
Sure, Jackie.
Yeah, I will explain like whatever question like somebody asked, right? So I will just explain. All scenarios are there. So I will explain each and everything. Like don't worry. I'm just searching the password. Yeah, I got the password now. Okay, I'm resharing my screen in just 20 seconds. Okay, let me reshare my screen. You can see my screen back. Okay. So just I've configured as a username, my password, my token, and this authorization URL. So Salesforce will support other authentication also, but we are using this authentication basic from the first day of the session. So we just go with this. I'll do the test connection. It is successful. Just say okay. 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 Go back to message flow now. So I can just say create account. If you can refresh this, so I think it should list down all, but I know the object name. I can use the account as my object name. Okay. So I'm just saying creating the account, and I can do one thing here. I want payload here, create account, right? And before create account, I want to make sure like this account is in the array, right? So I just change, and it should be in the Java format. So I can just change it here, DW 2.0, right? You can just say output applications. I don't need other transformation because whatever field name, right? These are matching with the field name in the Salesforce directly. I use the same payload. I'm going to publish the same payload where the field name or exactly matching with the Salesforce field name, okay, in the account object. So that's why I'm not doing any other transformation, just converting into Java, right? And it should be in the array. Only that's a thing. Okay, so that's a simple. You can do it here also. So I'm just saying output application slash Java, and the object I've converted into the array. Now here I just want to see the transform message. I just read the response, JSON, and I can just say payload, and rename, and just say Salesforce JSON response. Then I will log a response payload. I can simply say payload. Log accept response payload. I don't need this. I will remove this. Here in transform message, I'm just reading correlation ID. That's it. I just save this. Okay. It will redeploy. As soon as I save it, it will redeploy everything. Let me go back and just give me a good name here. I can just say ABCD Corporation. Phone number is something called 8567. I can just say 1. ABCD Corporation, San Francisco, billing state, New United States. Annual revenue is this. Account number I can just say 7654 abcdcorporation.com. Yeah, so this is like as simple as that. I can just put, let's see if it's got deployed without any issue. Yeah, I can just say, I can just send the request. It is published, and let's see what happened. Like, see, the account is successfully created. How quickly it has been done. Even it's asynchronous, right? So first, what happened? I put the message on this particular listener, right? It published the message to the queue. I got the response. Then we have a subscriber. It read the message, right? Set the correlation ID. Then transform the message into JSON format. Even you don't do this, that step doesn't require also, because here I'm already defining my MIMI type, right? As an application slash JSON, you can define that. What is your MIMI type? Then you don't do that, right? So you don't have to do this transform message also. Let's remove this for next. Then we create the account. In this create account, we are just saying like convert into application slash Java, and we got that, right? Let me go and check whether this particular account is created in Salesforce or not, right? So I will just check that. Let me copy this username, go back to Salesforce. Okay, this is my org. So let me see the ID which it has been written. Go to console, and this is the ID. Okay. So what you have to do, you can remove everything here. Either you can directly search in account, just paste this here ID. So you can see ABC Corporation, whatever information we have passed, and you can see everything here, right? These are the details, right? We have passed some kind of billing address and all these things, right? Everything is there, like, so it depends, like, what kind of parameters you buy, depending on that, it will populate the account. This is a good example. Let me do one, like, yeah. I think we can do more, but let's keep it like that. But now my question here is that, like, whenever I want to I want to create an exception. So I will first let go and check my Anypoint MQ. How many messages are there? Is there any messages? Right now, no messages. I want to show one of the example. What will happen in case of failure? So I will introduce some kind of error intentionally, right? So what I will do, I go to Anypoint MQ. Okay. So here I have a create account, I have a transform message, but before that I will use choice. Okay. I will just say payload dot. So what is payload dot? Type. Or I can just say, okay, I can just say type. Is not equals to customer. If payload type is not equal to customer, then there is the exception. Right? I can bring default here. Payload type, I can put this into the single quotes. Sometime what happened, I think this is the keyword. Okay, so payload type is not equals to customer, then I need to raise an exception. I can just say customer error, okay, wrong type. Simple. So here I can say the customer type should be, this customer type is invalid and it should be customer. Okay, and now I can just minimize this. And here I can just add on error propagate. Okay. So in on error propagate, I can copy this particular error type. Whenever I see some kind of this error, I can just put type. And here in transform message, you can just put JSON. Just say error iPhone error dot description, right? And I can also just say error timestamp. And I want now. Okay, I can put GMT format or IST, whatever. You can just put that, right? And rename. I can just say form error. And finally, I can log the error. Okay, here I can just change the label to error. Log error. Okay. Let's see what happens now. I just save it. I just deployed it. Let me just first try with a happy use case. AB XYZ. Just putting XYZ. Just change the number 98. I have to change the account number. Okay, just send this. Okay, let's see. Okay, there is a no error and success is true. This is the response from Salesforce. Let's go and put whether this account is created. Just remove everything. Here you can see the account is created. Okay, now I will change the type. Instead of customer, I pass to vendor. First, let's check queue. What is happening in the queue? I think there should be no messages. All 0. Okay. Now I will pass this as a vendor. Send. Why it's published successfully? Let me check. It should not. I think some issue is there. Yeah, here it's type, but it should not give me a transform message which has been published successfully. I'm just checking. Just give me a second. Why it's giving me a message like this? It came into this. Okay, never come to this. Go to console. Okay. Here I can see the message and everything is properly. It should be customer. It should be customer. Okay. Yeah, I just want to check why response message is coming like that. Let me push one more message and change this to. Yeah, this is something is message coming which is wrong. But let me check. I will fix that message issue. But here you can see the message in queue for 2, right? So this message has been not processed because it went like some kind of wrong neck, right? So we have sent the neck back, right? So here you can see this message is still in the queue. Let me refresh this and I want to just make sure. Okay, now it's saying 1. Okay. Yeah, it's 2, right? It goes in flight, it try to process it, then again it come back to in queue. So it is keep on processing, like it is keep on retrying. You can see it, right? So you will see it is keep on retrying basically. See, now again it send that message basically, right? But I don't want to do this basically, right? I don't want to do this. In such cases, like if it can retry for 2 times and I want to put this message to the dead letter queue. How can we do that? Yeah, see here you don't see this message is correct. Account published to the successfully, right? This message is not invalid. But why? Because we are able to publish the message successfully. It was my mistake. So that's why, see, when we publish the message, it gave me a proper response. But while subscribing, when it trying, like it got the type equals not equals to customer, right? Then it throw the exception, which is correct. But now here what is happening, it is again and again retrying the messages, and then and the message will stay in the queue till we have a TTL, right? We have defined the message TTL of 7 days, so it will keep on retrying. I don't want to do this. So for that we will do some concept called dead letter queue. I'll create a normal queue again, right? So I can just say account mule training DLQ, right? Assign, no, I don't want to do, and I'll just say 2 days. Okay, yes, there is some days, and I can put this as a 2. Default acknowledgement type I can just say 1. Okay, assign default, just say create queue. It is normal queue, you have to create it. Okay, and now okay, let me remove, I done the spelling mistake. Queue account mule training DLQ. Okay, I'll just keep 700, doesn't matter. Assign default delivery, default acknowledgement time 2. Just again, I don't know why C is coming. Create queue. Now I will purge this. I don't want anything. I will just remove everything from here for now. Nothing is there. Now I will open this. Now I go to queue settings and I'll just assign dead letter queue. I will just say DLQ and I just want to retry for 2. Okay, just retry for 2 times and then just bring the message to DLQ. Okay, you don't have to do any code changes at there. Just we have to do this change, and even I don't think we have to redeploy it again. Okay, so let me clear all the logs and let me send this same message. Okay, we got the response, which is correct, and let me go back to my Anypoint Studio. So it retry for you can see we got this particular message, right? So let's see. Still message in the queue. So we have a in queue basically. Now it's retry for the second time, right? So it does for the 2 times. So now message should be come out of the queue. So we have a message in that letter Q1 and we have a in the queue. In queue it should not be there. Let me refresh this. Right? So we don't have a in the queue, but we have a one message in the dead letter queue. You can see it, right? So you go there, go to message browser, just say get messages, and this is the message published to the dead letter queue. So this is how you can ensure that there is a zero message lost. If something got failed, you can just push it to the dead letter queue. Okay. So there is one more concept. Let me do one thing. Go back there. Right, mule training. I will just remove that dead letter queue. Okay, and I don't have any dead letter queue now. Now I have a concept called something called, we talk about the auto, right? Now there's a concept called immediate. So we have something called acknowledgement mode as an immediate. So let me save this. Okay, let's wait. Any question till now? Anybody can tell me what will happen now? I just changed it to acknowledgement mode immediate. Any guess? Any guesses? Okay, no problem. I will just show you. Let me put one successful message first. I can just put TYUI, something like that. Let me send this. This will fail, okay? Go back there. So this got failed basically, right? In this case, you will not going to see the message in queue. Okay, so if you see, there's a no message in queue. Why? In case of immediate, right? As soon as we receive the message, we send always positive acknowledgement back, right? Which means which means you don't have to keep the message in the queue, even it's failed or even it's success at a flow level, right? So you just send the immediate response back. Doesn't matter what is happening to your message, while processing, it will just send the immediate response back, right? In that case, you will never see the message in queue, right? So that is how you can implement the immediate basically, right? Okay, let me put one successful message. Like I can change customer. Let's go there. So it is successful now, right? Okay. Now I have a other way manually. If I want to send the manually acknowledgement, right? So I can just change it to manual. right? And everything is good, right? So you can use the Ack. At the end of the flow, you can use the Ack. But I want to send the Ack token. So whenever like we publish the message to the queue, there's a Ack token associated with each and every messages, right? So there's a one attribute called Ack token, which is associated with each and every messages. So that's how the Anypoint MQ can relate it, this particular acknowledgement and the Nack for this particular message, right? So first, I will do the set variable at the start of the flow. I will read this Ack token set variable. I can just say Ack token. Ack token. To read the Ack token, it's very simple. Attributes dot Ack token, and I can just say default is this. Okay, and I just have to assign that Ack token to the Ack method. Select the same configuration. Just say vars dot Ack token. Same thing in the Nack. I can assign the Nack here basically in the error flow. Okay, or even I can assign it here also, but I will define in the error flow. I can just say Ack token. I just stored in the variable Ack token. Now save everything. Yeah, just clear this. Now I will just change first as a something called test corporate test 1 2 3 4 5 test 1 2 3 4 5. Just change the phone number. Let's send this request. Let's see. So we have a successful. Let me check. We should not have any messages now in the queue. We have a 0 messages. We have sent the Ack back. Okay. Now in case of I just changed it to this type as a vendor. I'm just introducing some kind of error. Send. Here it's saying customer type is invalid, right? And it should be customer basically, right? So let me refresh and you can see like no. Let me refresh this page. You have a one message in the queue, so it will be stay in the queue basically, right? So it will you can see like it will keep on reading and it will stay here basically, right? So what I can do here now, so I can reassign back this dead letter queue. Okay. So anybody have any question on this acknowledgement mode that you can set up at a subscriber level? Just please ask the questions, so I will try to clarify. So we have a 3. So auto will automatically generate an Ack and Nack, right? Immediate, for immediate, it is always successful as soon as we pick the message. It is not expecting Ack and Nack back. For manual, we have to send the Ack and Nack manually basically, right? So that's what you have to do it. Okay.
Jackie, one question.
Yeah.
For this immediate, is there any specific use case where you would do that, where you would kind of ignore what happens to that? Is it just like a fire and forget kind of scenario?
Yes, see, most of the time in queue mechanism, right, where when you are doing some kind of asynchronous processing, right, it's a most of the scenarios where we just do fire and forget, right? We
Correct.
receive the message, it doesn't make like like queue doesn't have to do anything, right? So in case of like but if you want to implement the guarantee delivery or reliability pattern, right, or
Correct.
no message loss, right?
Correct.
In
Correct.
such cases you can implement Ack and Nack, if you are sending the NAC, right? So the MQ will automatically take care of moving the message to DLQ after certain retries, basically, right? So that is where like it is whenever you want to make sure like you don't lose any messages or you want to make sure the guaranteed delivery, right? So you
Correct.
can go with this Ack and Nack concept. You can just use the auto, or you can use the Ack or Nack manually. So why we use the Ack and Nack manually? Anybody can answer this question, because we already have an auto. Then why we have to use the Ack and Nack manually also?
Yeah, Jackie. So maybe in the case like what we have seen, like we wanted to ensure that like the client, which means the consumer who has the subscribed, has successfully as per their requirement or expectation, either it is processed or not, has been confirming that yeah we are
Correct.
good to remove it from.
Correct.
So
That is one of the use case. Correct.
correct.
Yeah,
and
you are
and
adding something. Yeah.
and like where you also said that we wanted to ensure from the client side कि we are not losing this message, and it's like the implicit or sorry explicitly we are confirming that the message has been processed, so there is no any loss, so that we can able to update them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And other scenario, so in some cases, like you have
Mm,
certain error codes, right? So you can
mm,
consider that as a successful also in some scenarios, right? Certain
correct.
error code or certain scenarios where you consider that as a successful, right? So
Mm,
basically, right? So in such cases, like for those error, you can just publish the Ack. For example,
mm,
like here, instead of neck, I feel like it's a wrong time. I cannot do anything with a wrong time. It's a bad request, right? So instead of neck, I can publish the Ack. Basically, it means it is a
correct.
successful for the Anypoint MQ, like that. So these are the certain scenarios where we have to use the manual Ack and Nack.
Correct. And one of the case could be in the like you said the error scenario could be like the business validation error. If
Correct.
suppose your data is containing something which is not corrected at the like the client side, and that is something like the data issue or the business issue, so we don't need to retry it. Okay, we simply going to accept it and sending to the NAC to that or act to that
Correct.
similar way.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks for all this. Yeah. Okay. Now we will talk about the concept called exchange, basically, right? So yeah. So basically, like as I mentioned, exchange is used to multicast the message to the multiple queues, basically, right? So I can just simply click on plus. I will create an exchange. Okay. So I will just say account mule training EXCS. I always put C. I don't know why. Okay. Just say save changes. Now I'll create some queue. So I already have a account mule training queue. I'll copy this. I just create account mule training queue 1. Okay, I can keep this as a 2. And I can assign the same dead letter queue. Account mule training DLQ. You can do that. You can assign the same dead letter queue to multiple queues. I can just say 2 retries. Okay, just say create. Now I go to exchange, whatever exchange I created, and here I need to associate it. So what are the queue you need to bound? So I need to bound account 1, account 2, right? I can simply say find selected queue. Okay. So that's what you can do it. And yeah, that is what you need to do, and just say save changes. So now if you open the exchange, so you have a 2 queue associated with exchange. Now I will copy this exchange. Okay. And I can just change this to the name. I will just change this to exchange, right? So I just change the destination to EXCS. I will disable this flow for now. So you can disable the flow. Just I want to stop. Okay. So I don't want to publish the message for now. Just I will just say save. And let me deploy this application. All good. Just clear this. I will push this message. Yeah, doesn't matter. I will push this message. It has been published. Now let's see. whether the message has been published to both the queues or not. So we can see, let me refresh this, sometime it happens. So you can see the one message in flight. It try to process one message in the queue. Okay, so you can see the message has been published to the both, because the message come into in flight, it try to process basically. That's why it's a in flight. Okay, yeah. So now what I will do, I will just start this flow. Okay, I will just save this. Even you don't have to say the start, you can just select the empty. Okay, so let's check. So let me do one thing. I will purge everything for now. I want to show you something basically. See now what is happening here, like in this particular flow, like I'm doing the validation here basically. I don't want to do, let's find, like I will keep the validation here also. So whenever type is customer, right, I just want to process those messages using this particular queue, right? And whenever the type is something else, I don't want to process it basically, right? How can we do that? We will use something called intelligent routing, which is provided by Exchange. So for that, first we need to publish a property. What property? A user custom property. So we will publish a custom property called type. So we have a X correlation. I can use some custom property called something called like customer, or I can just say account type, or I can keep same as a account type, and I can read a type from payload dot type default, like this. Okay, I will just publish this. Now I've just published this property. Then I have to go to Anypoint MQ. I go to Exchange, right? So you can add the rule. So what is your property name? I have a property name called account type string when account type is equal to customer, right? Then you use this, then route the to this queue. I will add the rule for the account. For that, you have to publish the custom property not equal to. Okay, so let me see. Or you can use none of. I can just say customer. It should give a equals prefix any of, or I'll just say none of. Okay, just say none of will work, right? Yeah, it should work. Or okay, I just say none of match type.
It should work. Let's try.
No, it should be any of, right? Any of
So you want any of the customer?
yeah, it should be any of, right? Because it has to be customer, right? It should be any of,
Yeah, any of the customer then, customer type.
no, I think it's not any of, right?
So
Okay,
you
let's keep it simple.
yeah.
Okay, I will just put as a vendor for now. I'm just sending as a capital letter. Yeah. Small letter, right?
Yeah.
running letters like V capital and then all small.
Vendor. Okay, account type. Let me check the rule there. I put, I think, customer capital. It should be none of, okay, that's fine. But for now, just I put two rule. If it's equal, account type is equal to vendor, then move to this. If account type equal to customer, move to this. Just two rules are available. Destination, let me check, is there any messages there? No messages, no messages here, right? So let me do one thing. Like, so let me save this so it can deploy the application. When you're reading, you have to read it from the queue only. Okay, you cannot read it from Exchange. So you need to define the queue only. So I'm using the same queue. I haven't changed the queue here. It's the same queue name. Let me. I will clear the console. Okay. Okay. So instead of test, I can give something called. Okay, I will give. I will first give as a vendor. I can change this account number to 6891. Keep everything. I will give just as a vendor. Let's see what happens. Will it able to read any messages? See, you cannot. You see, there is a no message has been read out, right? Here you see even you have subscriber because it means the message is not routed to that particular queue. Just check this one. We don't have any messages. We have a one messages here, right? In the account type when it's a vendor, when account type is a customer, we don't have it. Now let me do one thing. I instead of that, I can put this as a customer. Just send it. Then you will see something happen here. See, it has created the message basically. It has created the account into the Salesforce, right? So let's see. One, we don't have a messages here again. Right. Let me refresh this. Only one message here. No messages here. Any question on intelligent routing?
Nothing in chat.
Okay. So let me see what we have covered till now. So I think we have covered a lot of concept. Now I will create one more simple flow. So basically I will create one more subscriber. Okay. And that will read from this particular queue. Okay, I will copy this. Subscribe vendor account. So if you want to do something with a vendor account, you can subscribe it. You give a queue name. I will just say polling. So okay. Here I can just put a auto, doesn't matter. And I can use a transform message here. Okay, and just say, and even I don't have to put it as I mentioned, right? You can just you use the MMI type equals to application slash JSON and just log the payload. Okay, let me check this. It is refreshing. Okay, so there's a one message available with a vendor type, right? It has been read for this particular flow. You should see now there's a no message available in any queue. See with 0, 0. Okay. Yeah, so we have seen Exchange, we have seen all the concept related to Anypoint MQ, so where how we can use the acknowledgement more. Then like we have seen publish a subscriber, right? So then ACK, NACK, all this particular operation which is provided by Anypoint MQ. We have one important integration pattern, which is known as a circuit breaker pattern, which you can implement using Anypoint MQ. Anybody heard about something called circuit breaker pattern? Anyone?
Yeah, we have implemented in one of our projects. I think.
Okay. So generally, whenever you implement the circuit breaker pattern, your circuit is always closed, right? Which means your processing is happening basically. As soon as when circuit opens, right? So it means your connection has been break, something like that, right? So when circuit is open, it will not going to accept any messages, right? So basically here I start, right? So generally I receive the message. I'm just my Anypoint MQ is processing the message. Whenever your error count, right, continuously, it should be in continuous, okay, reach to the error threshold. So I define my error threshold 3, and whenever it will see the 3 continuous error, right, which is greater than equal to, right, it will open the circuit, which means it will not going to accept any further messages from the queue. It will stop that, right, it will stop that. Then after one it reach after trip timeout evicted, right? So I've defined a trip timeout of 2 minutes. After 2 minutes it will half open the circuit. It means it will just send one message. It will not send all the messages. It will just send one message, and it will see for that particular one message. If it is getting the successful response, then it will completely close the circuit again. In case of failure, right, it will again just open the circuit, right, from half open to again it changed to the open state, right? So again after 2 minutes it will again try to hub open, right? In this way you are not losing too many messages basically, right? So this is one of the important pattern. How we can implement that, I will show you. Okay, let me show that. So here I have a subscriber account. On subscriber side, I think it's on advanced. Under advanced you can just say edit inline. Here you can define on what error type you need to generate a circuit breaker pattern. I will use my this error type. Just this is the example. Generally, you go with the HTTP connectivity or timeout error, but you can define any kind of errors basically. What is error threshold? I will just say 3. What is trip timeout? I will just say 1 minute for demo purpose. Okay. So this is the configuration I am doing it. So on what error type you need to do the circuit breaker, and when we have to open the circuit, whenever you get a 3 continuous error, in such cases you need to do that. Then you just trip timeout. So generally after 1 minute you can just half open the circuit and just check whether you are getting the successful response for that particular request. If yes, then just change it to the close. So you can close the circuit. Otherwise you can complete again. Otherwise you can open the circuit again. So that is what a circuit breaker pattern does. So you can define at a subscriber level. Just save this console. Okay, now what I will do, I will send this as a vendor. I send 3 messages. 1, 2. Okay, I know what's the problem here because I just you are aware, right? I just can remove this for explain circuit breaker pattern because there is a no error because I just put the rules here basically, right? So I will just remove the rules for now. Delete rule. I just deleted the rule. Okay. And apart from that, I will just stop this particular flow. I don't need this. I just want to test my circuit breaker pattern. I will just say not stop, sorry. Here I just want to save it. Let it be redeployed. Okay, here let me it, I think it read the messages for 3 times. Okay, so let me clear the console and let me put some messages again. Okay, so okay, let's wait. Let's wait for minutes. Let me save all. Let me check. Let me do one thing. Let me unbind this. Go back to destination. I don't need this queue for now. Delete this. I just want to make sure, I even don't want exchange. So what I will do, I will just put this queue. I'm just explaining, that's why. Let me go back to exchange. I just unbind this also. Go back to exchange. I will delete this exchange also. I just want to keep it simple so I can also get what is happening. Not an issue here. Save all. Let me go back to Mule training queue. Let me purge everything. And dead letter, I can just say assign dead letter queue is not there. Okay, not this one. I'll just go here. I'll just say one retry. Assign dead letter queue. Save changes. Okay, clear. Let me send the messages again. Just send one. Okay, we got the error. Send second. Send third. Okay, we got second. Okay, we have one more message. We got the third also. Let me clear this. Let me send. See, now it should, let's see how many messages there in the queue. We have 6 messages in the queue. Let me refresh. We have a 2, right? So which is correct. It is still not picking the message. So it means your circuit is open, right? After 1 minute, it will try because we have defined the trip timeout or trip evicted timeout of 1 minute, right? After 1 minute, you will see it will read one message from there basically, right? Just wait for 1 minute. Okay, so after 1 minute it read. Now it is again not reading the messages. You can see it, right? So what I can do now, I want to make this open, right? So I can just purge the messages and I'll put one good messages so it can open, like, it can open the trip circuit. I'll put customer. I can just 777. I can put 789, like, the sentence. Let's say trip opens now. Then I will again introduce the error. Then it should accept 3 errors again. Okay. So now let me see how many messages are there. One. There should be one message. It will come. It may be picked up. There is a one message in the queue. After 1 minute, it will try and it will open yours. It will close your circuit. See, now we get the right, which is fine. So it is successful basically, right? So we get this ID. Now let me send some message. How we can verify? I will just send 3 error messages with vendor. Now it start picking. See, 1, 2. And let me put 2 more. Okay. So let me refresh this page. Right. Let me clean this. And you will see after 1 minute, it will again retry. Till that, I will prepare one good message also. Let me put 1, 6, 7, 8, 7. Okay. It will retry again after 1 minute. It will try to half open the circuit and it will check. Okay. So it again check. Now after that, it haven't processed any messages. So I can just purge it. Right. Just delete the message. Just send it again. Now after 1 minute, it will again see whether it is able to get the successful response. See, generally, we don't use this in the validation error. Just I want to explain you how we can do it. Generally we use the circuit breaker and HTTP timeout connectivity or some other failures basically. There like your system may goes intermittent down or your system is not able to accept too many requests at a time, right? In such cases, you can use this particular pattern where you can ensure that you are not losing too many messages basically. And you can see here, even whatever messages I'm losing, right? It is going to dead letter queue. So it is ensuring that I'm not losing a single messages. I can later pick from dead letter queue and I can process it. So here we got a successful response. Now let me do one thing. Let me send 3 error messages one by one. I put a vendor. I got first error, second, third. Okay, now it should not pick the message. I put 3 messages. So now it haven't picked the messages. Let me refresh this and let's see how many messages in the queue. It should be 3, I think. It will reduce. Okay, so it should be, or maybe it will get reduced. It will move to the dead letter queue. But here you can see it is not picking any messages. Okay. Any question on this? I just explained all the scenarios here.
Jitendra, Chandra here. One question.
Yeah.
I saw that after we hit the limit, we have always been purging it. Do we need to actually do that every time?
No.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned,
Because
Chandra,
ideally, it
for
should actually pick up the next correct one, right? I mean, it shouldn't
yeah,
really be.
Chandra, here why I purge it, I will tell you. Because I'm not using some error code where we have a HTTP
Correct,
connectivity issue,
correct,
right?
correct.
Here I'm using some validation kind of error, right? So it will always fail. That's why I'm just purging it, right? To just to simulate the scenario. That's it, right? Yeah, you don't have to purge it, right? So that is not a good practice. Right? You
Correct.
don't have to. It is just because I'm not using the HTTP timeout or something like that.
Exactly.
HTTP
Exactly.
connectivity error. Yeah.
Not a transient error, actually.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, okay. So in this, so the related question is, so if there is a case where this error records are there, let's say to be processed,
Mhm.
even if the right one comes in later on, it's never going to get processed till this ones get cleared out, is it? Is it because of a sequence or something, or how does it work?
No. Can you repeat once again?
Let's say these three which we had. I mean, obviously, it's a very different case of error handling. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not what is
Yeah.
life, but let's say there is some scenario like this where there are 3 or 4 which are choked up, okay, and you have hit the limit.
Yeah.
Till those 3 are cleared, the fourth one, which even if it's a good one, will not get picked.
Correct.
Okay.
It will not pick. So as I mentioned, the first it will open the circuit, right? Complete
Correct.
circuit, right?
Correct.
After trip timeout, right? After trip eviction time, right? We have
Correct.
defined for the 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it will try to check whether the connection is up or down again, right? So it will try to pick single message, right?
Correct.
Not try to pick each and every messages from the queue.
Correct.
Only single message. If it's getting the successful for the single message, then it will it will completely close the circuit, right? And it will start processing all the messages.
Okay.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Okay. No, let me actually add some more context why I'm asking this. Let's say if this was an exchange and if there are different clients, different clients from whom their messages are coming into the same queue. So in which case, let's say that one client is probably down or something like that. How does it actually then take this? How does it move to the good client, so to say? I mean, if there's client number 1 who is down, client 2 and 3 are consumers, whatever you want to call it.
See, yeah, if you see in this particular case, right?
Yeah.
So one queue can have a one consumer in this
Correct.
case, basically, right?
Okay.
Now you have a three consumer. So you will have a three queues basically, right?
Okay.
And you will have a three flow basically, right? On
Got
each
it.
flow, you can define a separate circuit breaker pattern for each of the three clients. So one of the client doesn't need a circuit breaker pattern. Like one of the client needs a circuit breaker pattern for some other error codes.
Got
One
it.
of the client need a circuit breaker pattern for other error code. One of the client need a circuit
Perfect.
breaker.
Perfect.
So you can
Makes
just
sense.
whenever you have subscriber, you will have the client will have a three subscriber, right?
Correct.
So you can define the like different circuit breaker pattern for each and every client. So it has to be implemented by the client side.
Got it.
It is not our worry basically, right?
Correct.
It is a client worry basically. Like who
True.
is consuming that they have to tackle this. Yeah.
Got it. Fair enough. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So this is all about Anypoint MQ. So I will just tell you one more thing. So recently MuleSoft have something called enable crossover fallback region. So right now, if you see, like if you want to ensure that your message get published across the multiple regions, in case of US region 1 is not working, like we can start processing the message from the US region 2, right? In such cases, you can definitely enable cross regions basically. So in this case, it's a US2 for this North Virginia basically, right? So you can definitely do that. It will ensure the more high availability. It will ensure the cross region failover basically. So those kind of things also available. You don't have to worry about, as I mentioned, underlying infrastructure or hardware or anything. You don't have to worry about anything, right? It will automatically taken care by MuleSoft. So you don't have to you have to enable the cross region failover, right? And MuleSoft will automatically take care of syncing the data, syncing the messages between both the region, and removing and deleting the message between the both the region. It will automatically taken care. You don't have to worry about those things. Okay. So that is a feature I think last year MuleSoft has launched as a part of Anypoint MQ. Okay. So these are the things we have like discussed in the Anypoint MQ. We have a FIPO. FIPO is nothing. It's a same. We can create the FIPO queue in the same way, but FIPO queue will ensure that it processes the message one by one and in the order. So whenever you want to process the message in the order, you can go with the FIPO. If some message got stuck, all the message which is in the queue will also get stuck because it will ensure that each and every message get processed in the sequence right? It will not pick the message from the middle basically, right? So in case of normal queue, there is a no guarantee of the order processing. Here there is a guarantee of the order processing, right? So we have a FIFO queue, we have a queue, we have a exchange. So I think you got the difference between FIFO queue and the exchange, right?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so this is all about Anypoint MQ. We have a 20 minutes. I can quickly go through the VM queues basically. Okay.
Jackie, just two things I want to add for the FIFO queue, that we cannot bind FIFO queue with exchange. And to have it in sequence, in the connector, we have a prefetch option that need to be one, or the max concurrency of the flow need to be one. Otherwise, we will see it is coming, it is coming in a batch, but within the batch, it won't be sequenced. So to make it sequence, we need to do this.
Thanks, Abhishek. So let me go with the VM queue. So we have we have something called VM queue, which is nothing as a virtual machines, or it's a queue which is provided by MuleSoft as a part of your MuleSoft application. So let me open my presentation. Mm. So VM queues are in-memory or asynchronous messaging queue used within the same MuleSoft application or the runtime. So if you want to pass the message from one flow to another flow, you can use the VM queues basically, right? So like you are doing the flow reference, correct? In same way, you can use the VM queue to pass the message from the one queue to one flow to another flow. It's completely in memory only, no persistent across the restart. It's local to Mule runtime, very fast, implemented using VM connector. So we have a VM publish and the VM listener. So you can do the decoupling of the decoupling flow inside the same app, right? There's a possibility you can make the VM queue as a request response also. So yeah, it background of fire and forget processing. See, this VM queue in my view, right? It is very important whenever you are using the on-premises Mule runtime where you have a clustering. So in cluster, what happened basically, you have a two servers, and like you have a two servers in the one cluster, and you want to ensure that the message get processed across the multiple servers, right? So you have a one flow, you have a two flow, you have a three flows basically, right? So if you want to share your VM queues across the multiple servers in the cluster, right, so that is where this particular concept is very important. For example, you have a flow 1, you have a flow 2, you have a flow 3. So for flow 1 trigger the flow 2 using the VM queue, flow 2 trigger the flow 3 using the VM queue basically. So now, like, your server 1 is busy when you are doing the processing of the flow 1, your server is busy, you have published the message to the VM queue. Now the flow 2 can execute on the server 2 in the cluster, right? Now the server 2 become busy, the server 2 will after completion of the flow 2, the server 2 will push the message to the VM queue, and now the flow 3 can pick the message, right, on the server 1, and it can do the processing. That is how you can do the load balancing of the message in between the flow or within the flow basically, right? So this is particular concept. It's very useful when you are using the clustering basically, right? In the clustering with your on-premises environment. But even you can use this into the cloud up basically, right, where you can push the message from you can just you can move the message from one flow to the another flow. That is how you can do that, right? So when to use the VM queue? Pass the message from one flow to another flow through a queuing mechanism instead of using the flow wrap. As I mentioned, distribute work across the cluster, which I already discussed that, right? So whenever you are using the on-premises Mule runtime, it's very important whenever you want to achieve the high availability, right? So whenever you want to achieve the better performance, and whenever you want to make sure the same messages process across the multiple servers in the cluster, you can use that VM queue. Communicate with different apps that running in the same Mule domain, right? If you want to enable it is for on premises. If you want to if you want to communicate between the applications, right, you can use the VM queues. It performs simple queuing that doesn't justify that use of a full GMS broker. It is just for the simple message processing. If you are expecting it ensure guaranteed delivery and everything, you cannot do all the things with a VM queue. It is just if you want to move the message across the cluster or across the application or across the flow, you can use the VM queues. Okay, so let me To show you a simple demo, I'll use file new mule project, Anypoint VM, not I will not say Anypoint VM Q API. So I will just give a simple example of VMQ. So I have a HTTP listener. I will do the connector configuration. I'll just say OK. We'll just say API/accounts. Okay. The next thing I can simply, okay. And here I can define my MI type. I generally do that, right? So I can define my, this is not necessary. And I can, in the advance, I can define this method as a post. Okay, simple. Now I can use VMQs. So I am to publish the message to my VMQ. Right, you can just do the connector configuration. Right, so here you can just say send correlation ID, auto, everything, like like you can do just like that. Okay, so if you want to go to advanced, there is nothing like you need to do. If you want to do reconnection strategy, like those kind of thing, if you want to do edit inline, if you want to define a queue name, you can do that. Account, I can just say account queue. I'll keep this as a transit, and you can just keep how many messages can be in the queue at a time, basically, right? If there's only you are saying 100 messages, if you try to publish the 101, it will not allow. I will keep 0 for now, so I will just say account queue. Just say finish. Just say OK. I can put account queue name here. Okay, you can just say auto correlation ID. So yeah, just say publish account data. Just say set variable, set account name, I can read the account name from prelude dot name. Okay, then I can use a transform message. I can just say generate response. Okay, simple. So here in generate response, I want some kind of message. You can just say message. Okay, so here in message you can just say account, and I can read account name from vars.name plus publish. Okay, simple. So let me save this and let me start this application. I will just say yes. Then I can just drag and drop VM listener here, right? And so you can, it by default select VM config, all the account name. I can put time out as a 30 seconds. Yeah. So you can just keep everything as default. Okay. And I will just put a logger component, and I can just say payload. Here you can go to listener. and just define the MIMI type equals to application/JSON. Just save this. Okay, so let me publish the message. I think it's the same account. It's the same API. Okay, that has been published to VMQ. See, first it has been published to VMQ, then this particular flow has read the messages and just log it, right? So here what happened? I got the listener, I set the account name, publish the account data to VMQ, then transform response. So I got the response back from here. Now the listener flow will read the message and just logged it. Okay. So let me see. There are other methods also in VMQ. We have something called publish consume. If you want to make this request response, right, you can do that. So basically, I can just put this as a request response. Before that, I want to show you something. This, so I can put something called logger here, and I can just say publish request completed. Okay, that's the one thing. Log. I can just put completed. Here I can put something called logger. Subscribe to account data. Subscribe to account data completed. Log account. Subscribe. You can just say log reload. Log account. Subscribe completed. Let me save this and I will show you the sequence, what is happening here. Okay, I think it's deployed. Let me send. Okay, let me see what happened here. The first team subscribe to account data started, right? So here you can see subscribe to account data, publish request completed. Okay, then so it was so fast, like even it haven't printed this log completed, it has subscribed first, right? The publish request, this happened asynchronously. It publish request completed, right? And then you can see this name and everything, and then we have something called subscribe to account data completed. Now we have something called request response kind of thing. So let me use a VMQ. Publish consume. Okay, so here I have a VMQ. I can just say send correlation ID auto. I can keep everything as it is. Okay, so I will just so I have to define the timeout here. So like response timeout, right? So I will just say 30 seconds. This is very important here. So how long you need to wait to get the response back from the flow? Okay, publish consume account data, and here I will create some kind of transform message before it respond. Okay, so I can just say status account data process successfully. Okay, simple. So VM JSON response. Then I have to remove this. I don't need to. Let me do the VM configuration, which is okay. VMQ transient, which is okay. Let me save this. Here I'm just using the request response. One more thing. Here I'm doing the transform message. Okay, which is for that. Then I can put the logger. So what is the response coming? I can log that from the subscribe log response.
So, question I have. Hello.
Yeah, I will take this question. Let me finish this. Yeah. Okay, it is deployed. Now let's see what happens. We will see the series of events. Okay, message is published. Yeah, I should. It's very quick. So here you can see the series of event. Basically, subscribe to account started. Okay, the first thing, like it published and consumed. The first thing it printed that subscribe to account started. Then it logged the payload, this particular payload. Then log account and which it says subscribe to account completed. Now it should log the response which we have created here, right? So it able to log the account response, the account data process successfully. We get the successful response here. Then finally we just say publish request completed, this one. We generate the transformation and just say publish. So here you can see whatever response we have written in this particular flow, right? It came here and we just log this. We generate the message, response message, and log completed. Okay, so that is what we can do. Any question now?
Yes, Jitan. So I think I got my answer, but just to confirm, so this is asynchronous, right? If we use VM.
No, you can do it. You can make it synchronous also. Like we have a method where we can use the publish consume method, right? If you want to make it asynchronous, you can use the subscribe. Like we have a VM, you can just publish it, right? Right. Then there's another listener which can listen and which can do. So generally, what happens when you are working across the cluster, basically, right? So basically, like so for example, like you have a dependency on your flow, right? So the flow one have a dependency on the flow two. So output of flow two is needed by flow one, right? In that case, you can go with the publish subscribe, basically. So you want the response back from the flow two, and then you can proceed further. But in case that there is no dependency between flow one and the flow two, and you can just use the publish independently and listener independently.
Okay.
And then there is a method called consume. If you want to read the message in the middle of the flow, you can use the consume method. But generally we go with listener, right? As soon as message published, you can process it, basically. For consume, if you use in the middle of the flow, somebody has to trigger that particular flow. Maybe scheduler based or something like that. So these are the 4 methods available with the VMQs also. It is very useful when we are deploying the application on premise cluster, and where you need high availability and you need to process the same message across the servers, right? You can use this particular VMQs. Okay. Yeah, so that's it for today. I try to cover like as many as thing I can do, like for VMQs and Anypoint MQ. Right, yeah.
Thanks, Jitendra. Very nice session.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Just stop the recording.